You finish a balanced lunch, yet 2 hours later, an intense craving for sugar derails your focus. Your energy crashes, your mood swings, and a familiar frustration sets in. Millions experience these daily fluctuations in energy and appetite, often blaming themselves for a lack of willpower. The truth is far more mechanical. Invisible chemical messengers are quietly orchestrating these dramatic shifts beneath the surface of your awareness. These messengers belong to the endocrine system, a complex network of glands that release hormones directly into your bloodstream. Think of this system as the body's ultimate communication network, dictating everything from your heart rate to your metabolism. When this network functions smoothly, you feel vibrant and stable. When it falters, the resulting chemical chaos can make simple daily tasks feel like an uphill battle against your own biology. But what if the exhaustion and cravings you feel are simply your body responding exactly as it was programmed to under modern pressures? Understanding how daily habits interact with these chemical signals changes everything. By decoding the language of your hormones, you can stop fighting your physiology and start working with it. The journey begins with the master regulator of energy. Insulin is arguably the most famous and frequently misunderstood hormone in the human body. Produced by the pancreas, its primary job is blood sugar regulation. Every time you eat carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose, which enters your bloodstream. Insulin acts as a crucial key, unlocking your cells so they can absorb this glucose and use it for immediate energy. Without this key, energy remains trapped in the blood. When your cells have enough immediate fuel, insulin directs the excess glucose to be stored in your liver and muscles for later use. Once those storage depots are full, the remaining energy is converted into fat. This is a brilliant survival mechanism designed for times of scarcity. However, our modern environment, overflowing with easily digestible, highly processed foods, forces this ancient system into constant overdrive. A widespread myth labels insulin entirely as a fat storing villain that must be eliminated. The reality is that we need this hormone to survive and build healthy tissue. The danger lies not in the hormone itself, but in chronic elevation. When your bloodstream is constantly flooded with glucose from frequent snacking and high sugar meals, your pancreas must pump out a continuous stream of keys to keep up. Over time, cells become overwhelmed by the constant chemical shouting and begin to ignore the signal. This condition is known as insulin resistance. The cellular locks become jammed. To compensate, the pancreas produces even more of the hormone, creating a toxic cycle of high blood sugar and high insulin. This resistance is a silent threat, acting as a primary driver for chronic inflammation, weight gain, and long term metabolic disease. Fortunately, the science of nutrition offers powerful tools to smooth out these dangerous spikes. Pairing carbohydrates with dietary fiber, healthy fats, and protein slows down the digestive process. This creates a gentle rise in blood sugar rather than a sudden tidal wave, allowing your pancreas to release a manageable amount of the hormone. The echoes of balanced nutrition still resonate, transforming how your cells receive and process daily energy. Physical movement acts as a potent, immediate sensitizer for your cells. When you engage in exercise, your muscle tissue can absorb glucose directly from the bloodstream, often bypassing the need for a chemical key entirely. A brisk 10-minute walk after a meal can significantly blunt a glucose spike. By building and utilizing muscle mass, you create a larger, more efficient sink for the energy you consume. The real surprise lies in how deeply our metabolic health is tethered to our psychological state. You can eat a perfectly balanced meal, but if your mind is racing with anxiety, your blood sugar can still surge. This brings us to another powerful chemical messenger, one that evolved to save our lives but now frequently undermines our well being in the modern world. Cortisol is widely known as the primary stress hormone manufactured by the adrenal glands sitting just above your kidneys. It is the architect of the human stress response, orchestrating the famous fight or flight reaction. When your brain perceives a threat, it floods your system with this chemical, instantly prioritizing immediate survival over long term maintenance. Your heart rate accelerates, your pupils dilate, and your digestion slows to a halt. To fuel this emergency response, cortisol signals your liver to dump stored glucose directly into your bloodstream. This provides the instant energy required to sprint away from a predator or fight for your life. In a natural environment, this intense physical exertion would quickly burn off the mobilized sugar. Today, the perceived threat is more likely a stressful email or a looming deadline. We sit at our desks, flooded with emergency fuel we cannot physically burn. This chronic psychological stress keeps cortisol elevated for hours or even days. The persistent presence of this survival chemical continuously raises blood glucose, which in turn demands more insulin. This invisible tension creates a metabolic gridlock, deeply frustrating those who cannot understand why their healthy diet is not yielding the expected results. Managing this tension requires active, intentional recovery strategies. Deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, sending a powerful safety signal to the brain that halts the production of survival chemicals. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep is equally non negotiable. Sleep deprivation is interpreted by the body as a severe stressor, guaranteeing elevated morning cortisol and setting the stage for a day of erratic energy and metabolic dysfunction. Stay with us to uncover how this precise combination of stress and erratic blood sugar hijacks your brain's ability to know when you are full. The feeling of an insatiable appetite is rarely a moral failing. Instead, it is the direct result of interference with two distinct hormones that act as the volume dials for your hunger. These vital dials are leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hormone that signals hunger, produced primarily in your stomach when it is empty. It travels to your brain, essentially ringing an alarm bell that it is time to seek out calories. Once you eat and your stomach stretches, ghrelin levels drop. This is the physiological trigger that initiates your desire to consume food, a necessary prompt for basic survival. On the opposite end of the spectrum is leptin, the hormone of satiety. It is produced by your fat cells and communicates directly with your hypothalamus, the control center of your brain. As you eat and store energy, leptin levels rise, signaling to your brain that you have enough fuel on board. This message should naturally suppress your appetite and increase your daily energy expenditure, keeping your body weight stable. A common misconception is that heavier individuals simply lack this fullness hormone. In reality, because they have more fat cells, they often produce massive amounts of it. The problem mirrors what happens with blood sugar. The brain becomes overwhelmed by the constant loud signal and eventually tunes it out. This state of leptin resistance leaves the brain falsely believing the body is starving, driving relentless hunger despite adequate energy stores. The interactions between these three master regulators form a complex, tightly woven web. High cortisol from chronic stress naturally increases ghrelin, making you hungrier, while simultaneously decreasing your sensitivity to leptin, making it harder to feel full. Add a diet high in processed carbohydrates, and the resulting insulin spikes further block the brain from receiving satiety signals. The three systems crash into one another, creating a perfect metabolic storm. This vicious cycle explains why relying on willpower alone to change your health is a losing battle. When your brain chemically believes you are starving and under threat, it will fiercely drive you to consume high energy, sugary foods. The resulting fatigue and brain fog are not signs of weakness, but symptoms of an endocrine system that has been pushed far beyond its evolutionary design parameters. Breaking this cycle does not require extreme restriction or punishing routines. It requires realigning your daily habits with your biological rhythms. Your hormones operate on a circadian clock, heavily influenced by light, food timing, and movement. By sending the right signals at the right times, you can gently guide this complex network back into a state of harmony. The science, once complex, now informs our daily choices. One of the most effective strategies is exposing your eyes to natural sunlight within the first hour of waking. This simple act halts the production of sleep hormones and sets a healthy, natural rhythm for your daily cortisol curve. Following this with a breakfast rich in protein and healthy fats, rather than refined carbohydrates, establishes stable blood sugar from the start, preventing the roller coaster of cravings later in the day. Cultivating a resilient hormonal environment also means honoring the space between meals. Allowing 3 to 4 hours of fasting between eating gives your digestive system a rest and allows insulin levels to fall back to a baseline. This quiet period is essential for your cells to regain their sensitivity. When you pair this with consistent, moderate physical activity, you build a robust defense against metabolic dysfunction. As you implement these evidence based strategies, the transformation is profound. The afternoon crashes begin to fade, replaced by a steady, reliable stream of energy. Your mood stabilizes as the chemical alarms in your brain are finally silenced. You shift from a state of constant, stressful survival to one of thriving metabolic flexibility. The resistance to insulin becomes a memory, and your body's natural satiety signals return to sharp focus. Demystifying the real science behind our biology removes the shame and confusion so often associated with health struggles. You are not fighting yourself, you are simply learning how to pilot a highly sophisticated biological machine. By honoring the delicate hormonal balance of your internal chemical messengers, you unlock a profound level of control over your daily well being. This is the true power of actionable health science, illuminating a clearer path to vitality.